Brakati Yahawu, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahawu, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahawu, Brakati Yahawu, Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim, Rachakodash, the blessings of the apostles and the elders of Great Mill, so true well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there, you Akim, to Zadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. I'm the priest Shimon. This week's topic is going to be entitled, Where Are We Now? And I pray Yahweh Bashim Yahushai guides me through this lesson because it's just a lot of information to divulge, just a lot going on. But I'm going to be covering where are we now in terms of the Trump assassination, Project 25, Biden replacement, all these sorts of, conspiracies that are going on. And this is very similar to a lesson I did in 2020 when the whole COVID situation was going on. And through the Spirit, I was saying, look, man, this whole thing is really a mask of their real intention, which the whole COVID pandemic situation was just one giant wealth transfer. It wasn't so much about a thing going around to, cause people. It wasn't a global. I don't want to say too much because this thing might get blocked, but it wasn't a global pandemic. If brothers are watching this, I would encourage you to download this lesson because more than likely it will not be up for long. All right, first and foremost, let's start off with some of the conspiracies surrounding the Trump assassination, right? And before I go on, this is going to be the book of Proverbs 15:28. It reads, "The heart of the righteous studieth to answer, but the mouth of the wicked poureth out evil." And why do I bring this lesson out? Why do I bring that scripture out? Right now, there's just so much information and disinformation being bombarded at the public, and you don't want to just jump on every single conspiracy out there because there is left conspiracy, right? There is right conspiracy in terms of political views. Now, let's deal with one of them. The first one is, okay, the whole thing was completely staged and botched and what have you. Here's why I don't believe that's the case, right? I've heard the situation with the left. You have different people in the left. There's this black woman that said, "Oh, the whole thing was staged to make Trump look like a such and such." I don't think it was staged in the same way like the Saddam Hussein toppling of the Saddam Hussein statue was staged. Many years ago, when the United States took over Iraq, they had toppled the Saddam Hussein statue to make it look like the Iraq was happy that the United States came in. But again, the internet does a lot of hindering to the elite's objectives, right? There were anti-war websites that showed that from bird's eye view that it was a very small crowd, and those were actors, not crisis actors, but those were actors. CIA typical tactic in regime change. And that was staged to give the optics that the Iraqi people was happy that the United States came in and toppled Saddam Hussein, but that was in itself staged. I don't think this situation is that. I don't think there are crisis actors. I do believe those were real bullets because they have receipts, right? He really purchased live bullets. He had no identification on him. The way they identified him was through his father's rifle. Every gun you purchase have a serial number, right? Also the receipt at Home Depot for the ladder. So I don't think it was completely staged. And also real people were hit. The bullet that went through Donald Trump's ear that was meant to hit his skull actually did hit someone, all right? And they do forensics of where these bullets come from. So they were able to pick up that particular bullet and trace it back to the gun. So that was a real live round that was fired and aimed for his head. Okay, Proverbs 16:1, "The heart and the preparation of man and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord." Donald Trump typically goes off script from his teleprompter. So, the fact that he went off script that day is not out of character from him. He always says, this is boring. You don't mind if I go off script, right? And he gets the crowd amped up when he does that. Now, where he does that in the speech is completely random, because he's not planning it. He's very candid, it's very impromptu. And for some reason, well, not for some reason, the Most High purposed it for him to be impromptu in the very beginning of his speech, and he wanted to show the chart of how they did on immigration and the difference in border control. And that when he turned his head to look at that particular chart, that saved him. That saved his life. And if he was to still be looking at the prompter anywhere, he'd have been hit in the head. And now snipers are trained to shoot center mass. You know, when you look through that scope, you're supposed to hit the center of the mass, which would have been his chest area. Any part of that, if you'd have hit any part center mass, that would have killed Donald Trump. However, this particular sniper wanted to aim for the head. They wanted that optics. They wanted the optics of him getting his head blown out on live TV. And now that didn't happen, and he fired additional rounds. Now I'm also hearing another thing about a second shooter. That's speculation, and that's not proven. Evidence doesn't prove that there was another shooter with him, because the victims that were hit were in the straight line of view of the sniper. If there was a second sniper on the water tower, which is another theory, that means that water tower has an elevated view above the two snipers that were behind Donald Trump. And why would he stop shooting, right? Why would if there was a second shooter, they would have kept shooting, because if the mission is to kill Donald Trump, why would you wait on the other person? They didn't have any sort of communication. How would they know to immediately stop? You hear pow, 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 then pow, 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 and then pew, pow. That last big pow came from the second team sniper. So you see there's two snipers behind Donald Trump. The second team sniper, the one that we don't see on camera, shot that dude right in the mouth. Now that guy that looks up and look back down in the scope, guess what? There was obstruction in his view. There was obstruction in that sniper's view. Cooks was positioned in the perfect spot to go through with this particular assassination. The fact that he had over an hour of surveillance and nothing was relayed to Donald Trump's security detail, his inner circle, all right? And they, you know, you have the A team, B team. Well, that day Donald Trump had the C team in levels of security. And if you've been watching the hearings, and I know I'm going to be speaking a lot about what's going on. If you've been watching the hearings with Kimberly Sheetal, AOC asked her, wait a minute, why was the security detail perimeter maxed at 150 yards when an assault rifle, the AR-15, a very common rifle used in assassination attempts, has a range of 400 to 600 yards? And it wasn't even like a circular security detail. They had like almost like a Pac-Man looking security detail to really give this guy all opportune shots to take this shot. And they just keep blaming everything on incompetence, which it was very incompetent. The people that were put around Donald Trump, but that's very similar to the excuse they used when they assassinated Epstein, right? We just had guys that fell asleep, the cameras was out, and we know it was a clear assassination attempt, right? They're using that same guys for the Trump assassination, but heads are gonna roll. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 18. I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear, and anoint thine eye with eye salve, that thou mayest see, right? Because there's going to be a lot of things propped up. And I'm speaking on that also situation, you know, the optics, right? The fist pumping, the flag behind the ear. You'd almost think like, damn, that shit gotta be staged. But guess what? That wasn't the original plan. The microphone shows that the CIA the Secret Service wanted Donald Trump to leave on a stretcher. And he said, I'm not leaving on a stretcher. Where's my shoe? Well, the security service lady threw the shoe off the stage. She was like, well, we gotta go, we gotta go. He said, stop, wait. And then he pumped his fist saying, fight, fight, fight. The person that was capturing this, it was just happen chance. It was just, you know, not happen chance. We know everything is done by the Most High, but the Most High had this optics set up, and once that came out, it was pretty much over. I mean, he was more than likely going to win, but now it's like pretty much over. You know, he survived it. There's even conversations of Biden asking Trump, how did you know to turn your head? And he said, I don't know. You know, it's just like the Lord made him do it. You know, so. And you got to think too, like, he's been told they're going to try to kill you for a very long time. So I'm pretty sure he pondered in his mind what I'll do, like, if I survived or what have you, because he was very calm during the situation. But not only Donald Trump was calm, but the people in the audience were calm. What you have to understand is, man, it's just a lot I got to say. Those types of people that typically follow Donald Trump, they prep for things like this, all right? In a situation where guns go off, niggas and shit, they just scatter. The people in the clubs, they just scatter. But that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to remain calm, medic this person. Think about it. You have people seeing somebody get shot in the head right next to them and still remain calm. Most of the people in that audience, they got it on camera, well, calm. And putting their head down, medic, like they were going about it like procedures because they prep for things like this. And that sort of helped him more than anything, you know? What else I want to mention about the crowd? Yes, most of the stuff that we're seeing is being put out by the people that were there, almost individual journalism. There's social media platforms like Truth Social, which is run by Donald Trump. X, formerly known as Twitter, once Elon took over, he put a lot more liberty on there. In fact, he put people back on that were taken off, like Ryan Dawson, Andrew Tate. There's a lot more stuff you could put up on X, and people are just posting things to social media, and that's what's causing people to question a lot of things. Like, how can people be this incompetent? Why were they power washing? After they took out the shooter, they were power washing the blood. That's a crime scene, you know? And when he was positioned on that particular roof, there were federal agents in the window behind him and told to go downstairs. And people are questioning, why would you go downstairs when you have the advantage of that roof? And why would you all go down at the same time? Now, you might be wondering, like, how, you know, they spot him. Why didn't he just lay there? Well, guess what? This guy, he was wearing a short sleeve shirt, and it was hot that day. So, you know, it seems like he got up to kind of, it's hot, and went back down, and that's how they were able to recognize him. And a lot of it was being shot by the video by those that were there. So people were like, look, there's a shooter up there. You know what I'm saying? 2 Corinthians 2:11, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we're not ignorant of his devices. Right, so there's many misdirections. There's a lot of red herrings being put out because they want people to pass over this Trump assassination situation. You know, like I saw that there were protests by BLM in the States. They might want to create a riot or do whatever. I don't know if they're going to do something like that, but what is that? That's just a red herring. That's a pump fake. That's for you to look over there and try to get the news. And look, Bibi Netanyahu's he's speaking in Congress. It's a bunch of different things happening to try to take people off this course. But guess what? The alternative media, you know, again, this internet has given a lot of people to create their own news platform and have a lot of followings, and they're not letting it go. You got people like Candace Owens, you got people like, again, Ryan Dawson, Pat Davidson, okay, from Valuetainment, just a bunch of different people speaking and raising the question. Tucker Carlson raising the questions of how can people be this incompetent. But no, incompetency with coincidence, to me, I think collusion. I think a lot of that thing was orchestrated. I think that was a designed attempt. And you have Kimberly Sheetal, when she stood in front of Congress, not only did she dodge questions and answer them in a specific way, you couldn't ask random questions. Her questions were supposed to be written down and then get pre-approved. Eventually, she was resigned. And I remember as soon as she got resigned, I said, look, Christopher Wray is next. Christopher Wray is the head of the federal, of the FBI. And the reason I said that, well, they asked Trump and Vance about the situation, and they trust the federal governments. And they say, Vance pretty much said in a way like, look, we trust the FBI, but we don't know about the leaders. And Trump said yesterday Vance should go because he said that he believed Biden is fully cognitive there. Trusters didn't trust him. They don't trust him. Even though Trump appointed Christopher Wray back in 2017, he doesn't trust anybody. And the reason he's not being too vocal on his thoughts is because he doesn't officially have that seat yet. I mean, I'm pretty sure when he does get that seat, he's gonna go for motherfucker. Unless again they do another attempt to take him out. But yeah, and it seems like the plan was to take Trump out and also take Biden out. I believe both of them were supposed to get taken out, and you're supposed to put in Kamala with Nikki Haley and then just run the typical program. But they didn't plan on that. I mean, look, the counsel of the Lord is going to stand, all right? So Biden is out. The Biden double situation, right? Because Biden was rushed to a hospital for medical conditions. In fact, he said, the only way I'll step down, and we don't know if he said it. Those words didn't come out of his mouth. We have people speaking and writing for him. The only way I'll step out the way if I suffer some medical condition, and then sure enough, boom, COVID comes out, which, you know, that's bullshit. You know, and then all of a sudden he endorses Kamala, and that message he put on X, it didn't have the presidential seal. So we can see that really the donor class is the one that really runs the country. You know, the people that, you know, the donors to these people, they show you that stuff in House of Cards. And this is why I've been saying for many years that the elites are not in all one accord. They're not in all one accord. I think more accurately of how the elite situation runs is very similar to Game of Thrones or House of Cards. Things wherein, like, you have different secret factions all want the New World Order per se, but who's going to rule about it? How are we going to go about this and stuff like that? Also, like in Blade 1, how you had Deacon Frost was a part of like the newer regime, and you had the older regime and stuff like that. They go at each other. So, and that's what we're seeing. Not only do they go after each other, but they also have puppets, and that's what these different presidents and vice presidents and different Congress people are for the ruling elites. But behind, they do duel with each other. So I do believe, you know, Trump and Biden were supposed to get out there. And in fact, if Trump was assassinated, man, just think about what that would have implied. You know, they were going to use Iran, okay, but you can't go in World War III. You can't jump into World War III, the heat of it, without issuing the RFID microchip. So that right there lets you know that, look, as much as the elites want to jump right into World War III, no, the Most High plan says the chip has to come first. This is the book of Ephesians 5:15. See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. So we got to look around at a lot of things, man. I mean, look, you know, we're seeing, you know, that going back to the Biden situation, when he walked down that Air Force One, that wasn't him. That was not him. And, you know, you talk to certain people, they think, now that's a conspiracy. It's not that far-fetched to have doppelgangers. Saddam Hussein had one. You can't tell the difference between Saddam Hussein and his doppelganger. Stalin, Hitler, they all did it. So, you know, why would it be far-fetched to do it now? You have people that get plastic surgery, trained to walk and be like that particular person. But brothers was able to spot like Lana. That's definitely a doppelganger. Even his White House, even his address to the people from the Oval Office, one, it wasn't live. The dude looked propped up with makeup. So we don't really know his state, man. They might just announce that he died of a natural cause, or if not, are already dead. So that's what certain people are speculating, that he probably is already dead. I can't speak on that. I would probably need more proof before I could say something like that, but it wouldn't be out the realm of possibility, right? The Kamala Harris situation. Kamala Harris is, it's come out that her descendants, she descended from an Irish slave owner, and she doesn't embrace the Jamaican roots or whatever. When she ran as a senator, she ran on the premise of her being the first Indian woman. This whole first black woman, she wasn't running on that. In fact, she denounced her Jamaican roots heritage. Now, when you look up that Irish slave owner, you might see a picture of William Alexander Harris. It was a so-called white man. A brother had did a lesson, and I had pointed out, like, no, that's not her great-grandfather. That's William Alexander Hamilton. I'm sorry, William Alexander Harris, which was a senator of Arkansas. That slave owner, his name was Hamilton Brown, and where you get the term, where you get Brownstown from in Jamaica. So she come on, man. Kamala Harris, when she ran in the primary, she couldn't even secure her own state. She didn't have any delegates, right? So this notion that Trump is trying to take away democracy and this, that, and the third, well, guess what? You guys didn't go through the democratic procedure of electing a vice president. You can't just say, okay, I'm gonna call this person, they pledge to me. That's not how it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be open, public votes for who you want. And if they'd have went that route, Kamala wouldn't have been in that particular position. It would have probably go to RFK. He had a lot of backing. But why would they give it to Kamala? Because Biden already secured those delegates, which I believe that was the plan. The plan was to have Biden secure the delegates, then get rid of him and then put Kamala in, because they know that nobody would vote for Kamala, right? So they and not only that, though, they had the Harris had about $300 million in it, so they couldn't just get rid of that and give it to somebody else. So that's, it was just a much smoother transition to put her in, but the way they put her in was not the democracy approach, if you will. which leads me into Project 25. I see certain brothers talking about it. Well, I heard particular brothers talking about Project 25. It's a list that's being pushed out by the left right now. But Trump has never officially endorsed Project 25. In fact, when he speaks on it, he says, look, I don't know nothing about it. You know, he heard that it comes from the Heritage Foundation, which is supposed to be a radical right think tank. But when you go into it, you see that it's not in line with what Trump is saying. You know what I mean? Because Project 25 speaks about, you know, Trump want to take away the right from women to have abortions or what have you, but that's not his stance. His stance is to give abortion rights back to the state and not make it federal, which contradicts with what the whole narrative of the Project 25 is about, which is, we want to give more power to the executive branch to make, you know, Trump get more power, but that doesn't make any sense. If that was the case, then he would make abortion a federal decision instead of giving it to the state. So that whole Project 25 shit, my takeaway is it has radical right talking points in it to trigger the radical left, and then just say this is what Trump is about. But he's never openly endorsed it. And when you speak with people that follow Trump, they don't publicly endorse it. But when you speak with people that follow the left now, you'll find out that they don't really dig too deep. They're more about just hating Trump than anything. And it's good to have to sometimes pick people's brain and hear from both sides. I know, like I said, I mentioned to brothers, like I know a lot of brothers don't watch the mainstream media because it's full of lies, but I watch the mainstream media too because I want to know what they want me to think, right? And it's also very telling. I'll give you an example before I close out. CNN is a left-leaning media, but they so far have been not really backing Kamala Harris, right? Which CNN is backed by the Clinton family, which openly endorsed Kamala, but they're not. You have people like Don Lemon that was saying, look, she's not a black woman. You know, she's not an African-American woman. She's Jamaican. Like, they're not really pushing her. Very similar to what Fox News did with Trump, right? When Biden got in, Fox News, which was always backing Trump, at the last minute turn to back Biden. You had a bunch of people. I remember that. So I'd be watching like the live streams and the comments. You had a bunch of people cursing out Fox News like, you fucking traitors and this, that, and the third, because they announced Biden as a president before it became official. There was only one news outlet that waited. I forgot their name, but they got a lot of following after that because they waited to make sure it was official before they said Biden was just in, like Fox News did. Come to find out, Fox News is owned by the Murdoch family. Now, Rupert Murdoch used to lean right, but his son leans left. And again, it's just so much information out there, but I might have to come back to this because there's constantly news being updated. So far, Christopher Wray has not resigned or been terminated, but I'm sure they're going to go after him. They're going to go after a lot of people, and I'm pretty sure if Trump gets in there, you're going to see a lot of people get locked up, and that's why that's how come it's almost like Reservoir Dogs and Cutthroats. And these are fucking exciting times, man. These are exciting times. There's a lot of division. There's a lot of uncertainty. You see it in the markets. The fucking stock market's tanking because people are uncertain. And that's what Donald Trump brings. He brings that wild card effect. Now, don't get me twisted. He's still a Zionist through and through. You know what I'm saying? They will all work at the behest of Israel. But again, there's still different war and fraction amongst these elites. And it's very interesting times. I think that the fact that the Most High spared his life, because any other position his head was, it'd have been over for him, and that could have trusted us right into World War III. That could also been, if Donald Trump was taken out, that could have led to major civil war, because now you have people who would really want to get back to actually follow Trump, and now you could also have crisis actors, agent provocateurs use that situation to create and escalate different situations. But the counsel of the Lord, that shall stand. So that's where we are right now, briefly speaking on the assassination. Whatever information come out, I'll say, and I'm trying my best to do it. I know it's like hot takes and you want to jump on the lesson, but I think, man, we just have to really like read as much as we can. And even if we do read and put together different articles, it's just our conclusion through the Spirit. I can't say for fact this is what. But, you just decipher certain things like, you say, wait a minute, that can't be that because of this and that, so to me, it seems like It was a true assassination attempt, collusion from the inside, and it got screwed up. And we got to see where this goes. We have to see where this leads, you know. So I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakudash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect that day, you Akim to Zadakim that do this thing now, more truth and sincerity. Shalom.